there's more grain in there, Trumbull. We won't settle for scraps while you grow fat on our crops. A muffled shouting emerges from inside the mill. The first of you drunkards come through that door gets a shot between the eyes. Goes hear me, Swainer. I'll put you down like a dog. Come away for now, lads. But we'll be back, Trumbull, and we'll have fair prices. Or by the flame, we'll have a reckoning. Okay, so there's trouble here. Let's see if we can lend a hand, maybe, and end this little dispute. Settler's arrow. An elven man stands before you, his relatively stocky build suggesting a life of labor. His face is pale and drawn, his eyes wide. Behind him, a younger man and woman exchange worried glances. The miller raises a club as you enter. It shakes violently in his grip. Get back if you value your life. Hold on, I'm not here to hurt anyone. The miller hesitates, then lowers the club. Wait, I know you. You just came into the town, right? Don't tell me Sveiner's already got his claws into you. Gods, that's all I need. My name is Aaron. I've only just arrived in Gilded Vale. Trumbull shakes his head. You picked a bad time to come visiting. Gilded Vale's had all its shine scraped off. Just a big dung heap now. And Swainer thinks he's king of it. They are all of them mad. Who's Swainer? The dwarf, the one standing out there spreading lies among the villagers. Bastard's been here for decades and he hasn't gotten any kind of time. The miller hesitates, then lowers the club in a fraction. Who are you? Is Swainer roping foreigners into his little crusade now? What was all that ruckus outside? Oh, we gained experience. Trumbull shakes his head. Where to begin? Sveiner's whipped them up into a froth, going on about the grain stores. Claims I've hidden away most of it. All I do with the grain is sell it. I can't create it out of thin air, and I can't hand it out for free. I pay the farmers for the crops they bring in, and I sell what comes out of the mill. Most of it goes to the Black Hound on the west side of town for ale, and Swainer and his lot sure don't mind that part. You take a look at the fields on the way into town. The crop's blighted, and most of what I'm getting from the farmers... Trumbull gestures to the sacks and containers. It's gone off, rotted through. I can't pay top prices for blighted wheat, and I've barely got enough good grain to go round. Swainer's howling after things he has no right to. Seems like a pretty clean story for a messy situation. Trumbull frowns. It's not. He pauses. Look, Swainer's always been a rotten bastard, with stores so limited. Maybe I have the good stuff for people who deserve it. Orfra, for instance. She's expecting a child. Should I let her starve instead? Do the villagers actually know about the grain supply? Trumbull looks embarrassed. Some. The innkeeper, for instance. It's better not to worry about anyone. I'll be trading for supplies soon enough. If we can just keep things calm until then, we'll be in the clear. The innkeeper? Trumbull winces. I wouldn't drink the ale, is all I'm saying. Okay. Maybe I ought to go have a talk with Swainer then. The miller all but sagged with relief. I'd be grateful if you did. He won't listen to me anymore, but maybe you'll have better luck. Tell him we're all having a hard time of it, and we'll all have to make some sacrifices. We'll be in your debt for it, if you can convince him. Anything to loot? No, just to steal. So, was there something else up here maybe? Oh, there's something. Let's have a look into this first. Oh, loot. Oh, I got ale and beer. Blighted ale. Oh, hello. Yeah, we take that for later reading. Oh, Ingrid. This man and woman appear to have been deep in conversation, working at closing two bulging satchels. They move to embrace until the woman notices you approach and pauses her smile, faltering a little.
Hello.
Can we help you? She looks to her companion, brows furrowing with confusion. Do you know this man, Nunton? Yes. I think we met in the Whalewood. I warned him about the bear. He inclines his head. Glad to see you've made it. Was there something else you wanted? Okay, I'm wondering how this will turn out. Okay. Yeah, you two are in good spirits for people who just lost a friend. That's kind of you to say. I'm grieving my husband, in my fashion. I'm only sorry I could not convince him to leave Gilded Vale before this happened. I'm relieved to be rid of this terrible place, that's all. It's cost me the greater part of my life, and now my husband, and I'm glad to be free of it. I see where this is going, so... yeah, okay. Is there anything you can tell me about Gilded Vale? Ingrid smiles wryly. Only that you'll want to be moving on as soon as you can. You'll have seen the tree, I imagine, but the rot goes deeper. If you're looking for work, I'd say you have a better chance of it elsewhere. We're headed for Defiance Bay ourselves. Not an adz. You two seem to be in a hurry. Yes, I imagine so. Ingrid laughs. We are packing for the trip, actually. I've been meaning to visit Defiance Bay, and... She looks at Nunton. Well, in truth, I think I've had my fill of this town. Nunton reaches to take her hand. It's time for some new scenery, he says. Okay, we leave it for now. I wonder what we will find in that bear cave. About his friend, husband. It suddenly doesn't sound like an accident anymore. Springberry. Oh, there's someone to look into. You see a large crowd gathered in the middle of a courtyard. This man stands in the midst of them, a cloak pulled over his head, holding it closed around his neck. The crowd has congregated around a platform, and they all watch, transfixed, as a man is led to the platform, flanked by two city guardsmen. The man is shackled, hand and foot, but carries himself as a nobleman, not deigning to even glance at the crowd. The cloaked man pulls his cover closer around his face and turns to leave, hunching over to avoid being seen. A crier on the platform unrolls a parchment and begins to read, but the man pays no attention, intent on getting away from the courtyard. The crier's voice grows... The crier's voice grows louder and more intense as he reads, and voice from the crowd start to punctuate his sentences. The jeers and shouts grow more frequent, and with each one, the cloaked man flinches, and his shoulders droop. He breaks from the crowd, coming to the edge of the courtyard. As the crier reaches the end of his proclamation, the crowd grows silent again, save for the occasional shout. The man turns back to look at the platform, seeing his father kneeling before the block, neck exposed. The executioner moves into position, lifting his axe to strike. The man turns suddenly, unable to watch. There is a wet thunk, and the crowd breaks into cheers and applause. He leans against the wall, regaining his composure, then straightens up. With obvious resolve, he strides off, away from the crowd and his legacy. Okay. Whew. That was dreary. You see a pair of immaculately polished leather boots and an impeccably maintained goatee. Their owner, a slightly hook-nosed man with a wicked grin and narrow eyes. He bobs his feathered hat at a nearby merchant as he ambles by, a small piece of parchment held tight in his fist, ink staining his fair fingers. He seems to know most of the merchants in the market, stopping to engage some, nodding at others, and even bartering for minor goods with a select few, always smiling, laughing, and exchanging jibes. He approaches a heavy-set Omar, smile plastered stiff across his face, and jokes about the weather. She jokes back, subtly palming him several gold coins. When he walks away, the paper in his hand is gone, and the smile on his face is far more genuine. He tips his cap at her, winking, and trundles off with a new spring in his step. So he was, what, information broker once? What's here? Oh, first of all, there's something else to loot here. Some more plants, some more springberries. So, what do we get here? Let's see. Kyra Eloth and Adlin Preston. Adlin Preston, I think. And we can only steal from them.
Yeah?
That's actually...
They'll never know I'm here.
Sneaky. Oil, grain, and beer. Okay, that did work.
I'll take a peek.
I still spotted. No, 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 no. Come on, we're off. Yes. The Deerwood Part 3. Actually, let's see. I think, yeah. Change of plans. I'll read them out as I go. I think that's the, that's still the most, yeah, that's, I think it's still the best. Let's see, daily affirmations. Didn't we have Deerwood Past? Ah, yes. Deerwood Part 3. Okay, we got the Part 1. Let's read out the Deerwood Part 2, The Broken Stone War. In 2626 AI, a group of farmers, while clearing farmland for planting, accidentally knocked down one of the ancient Adra menhirs. Menhirs? Yeah, on their land. This innocent act drew the ire of the native population and started what would come to be known as the Broken Stone War. When it was finally over, several thousand colonists have been killed, as well as hundreds of the Glenfathans. Even though the war was technically over, the Glenfathans escalated their attacks on the settlers over the next 2 years, using vicious tactics that left many colonists, several military figures, an earl, and 6 thanes dead. 6 thanes! Oh! Unable to stop the Glenfathan attacks, the earls elected Earl Edrang Hadred to the position of Gref. Well respected and known to be a master of military tactics, he was tasked with dealing with the Glenfathan threat. Edrang fought with the Glenfathans, led by an Orlan named Regt, for the next 2 years. Neither side can gain the upper hand on the other, resulting in a tense stalemate between the two groups. Because of this stalemate, the hostilities slowly died off, and in 2631 the Deerwooden people signed a treaty with the Glenfathans. Regt would step down, the Glenfathans would stop their attacks altogether, and the Deerwooden people would leave the ruins alone. This treaty angered the nobility in Edir, as it brought to a halt the supply of artifacts. Edrang also tried to get the practice of slavery outlawed, but this was not successful. Because of this, the peace between the Deerwood and Ir Glenfath is uneasy and tumultuous. Small patches of rural violence still cropped up, but were easily dealt with, as neither side wanted another war. Then we got the Deerwood Part 3, The War of Black Trees, and the Rise of Admeth Hadred. After the Brokenstone War, the Deerwood would see peace and prosperity for 21 years. Aside from the occasional slave uprising or border dispute, nothing of any note happened until 2652 AI. Some of the Deerwooden earls, tired of being restricted by the treaties and encouraged by imperial sources, defied the decrees and actively sent people to loot the ruins in the Deerwood. Response from the Glenfathans was not immediate, but when it came, it was brutal and bloody. There was a slave uprising, and Regt assumed control of his guerrilla fighters. A contingent of Delemgan joined the forces as well, making the fights in the forest even more deadly for the Deerwooden soldiers. Edrang, then far too old to lead Deerwood in the war, sent his son Admeth to deal with the situation. Admeth, showing the same tactical prowess as his father, set fire to the forest at the Iskua River, and then blocks the forces retreating from the inferno. Some of the Glenfathans escape, but thousands would die in the blaze. Ragt is captured and sent to holding in New Hema. Then goes on the war. I think they forgot a word here. The war goes on for several months, and Admeth uses the same tactic many times to flush Glenfathans and Delemgan from the battlefield. The entire war lasts less than a year. The Deerwood eventually wins, but at a terrible price. This conflict would come to be known as the War of the Black Trees. Tragedy struck the Deerwood in 2654 when Edrang, whose health had been waning, succumbed and passed into the cycle. Ragt, who had developed a begrudging respect of his constant adversary over the years they had fought, sent Admeth his sincere condolences. From captivity in New Hema, Admeth assumed his father's place as Gref over the Deerwood. The other earls disliked this development and began publicly rebuking Admeth's decrees. In 2655 AI, Admeth, tired of the problems caused by the recalcitrant earls, but having support of the new Vailian dukes and the common folk of Deerwood, having saved them from the Glenfathans, delivers an ultimatum to the fair king of Edir. He demands to be made a Gref Palatine. This move would give him authority and power over all the earls. their holdings, and their titles. Deerwood would become a palatinate instead of a grefram. The Fairkoning, who did not want to have to deal with a rebellion while trying to establish a hold on the Wallace trade network in Reatzeras, begrudgingly agreed to Admeth's demands. Admeth would use this new power to bring all the earls in line. As a trade-off for being given the power, Admeth put money and resources into all of the Deerwood's ports to increase shipping traffic. In turn, this increased the Fairkoning's income. Under Admeth's rule, the Deerwood saw 7 productive and profitable years. In 2662 AI, he did what he had been tried even for many years without success, bringing slavery to an end in the Deerwood. He negotiated the 10 Years Treaties, so called because it has been 10 years since the War of the Black Trees. A timeline was established in which the slaves will be released. The owners would be compensated with money or land for each slave released. If they did not comply, the slaves would be taken and a fine will be levied against the owner. In return, the Glenfadhans would open trade with the Deerwood and cede some of their territories to the Deerwooden government, in practice meaning they would stop contesting the presence of those who lived and ruled there. Hundreds of Coopers attempted to rebel against this. Admeth, expecting just such a reaction, reacted accordingly, and the rebellion was quickly crushed. His agents then spread propaganda through the populace, making the Coopers' rebellion and its instigators seem far worse than they truly were. This tactic worked, and there would be no more trouble. So that is some more recent history, I think. We then still got daily affirmations on focus and efficiency. Number 1. All errors can be reforged into lessons. Abidan rebuilt himself from ruin. No setback is insurmountable, not even death itself, so long as the soul is dedicated to the task. Second, work hard, work well. Abidan demands only honest labor and forthright service. All errors can be reforged if your first intentions are pure. Third, all ignorance can be reforged into knowledge. Master your craft, excel at what you have been trusted to do. Do not offend your teacher by remaining a student forever. Fourth, each generation must forge its successors. Teach your trade to all who are willing to learn, and in doing so, multiply the fruits of your knowledge. Fifth, all difficulties can be reforged into triumphs. Meet strife with humility and acceptance. Let adversity temper the ingot of your will, and you will never shatter. Sixth, embrace your station, fulfill the duties of your rank, and meddle not in the affairs of your betters. All guilds fail at their weakest link. Seventh, all loss can be reforged into strength. Profitable work heals all emptiness. So long as you have the tools of your trade, you will always be able to forge wealth anew. Eighth, value the works of others, and they will value your works in return. Share the harvest with the hungry and your tools with the destitute. Ninth, all souls can be reforged into whatever we will. Hard work is not exclusive to life. Death is no time for complacency. Commit yourself to excellence in this cycle and the next. Okay. So that's that. What's this? Rat scurry behind the sacks. Okay. You see a key turned gently, steady, and hear a ghostly click as the door swings inward. 2 figures slip in. locking the door behind them, and begin their prowl. The hunt is efficient, and it takes them little time to acquire a sizable collection of documents and oddly shaped velvet pouches, quick hands full pockets, rucksacks, bags. The door opens downstairs and everything freezes. Footsteps, a tired giggle. The thieves are all eye-wides and short breath as they empty their pockets of all but the necessities, anything noisy hurriedly replaced. Silence from downstairs, then tentative steps up the staircase. A voice calls out. One thief creeps forward, the other gesticulating wildly for him to return. He continues forward, crouching by the banister. He sees a gaudy shoe and shoves. The woman falls. He sees a gaudy shoe and shoves. The woman falls with a cut of scream. God damn it! It's been too long. The woman falls with a cut of scream, rolling lifelessly to the floor below. Swearing, the second thief grabs her brother, and they make their escape, collecting whatever of value they can on the way out. So he was a thief. Or she. I think it's a she. Yeah, it's a she. She was a thief? In a past life, maybe? You see a crowded marketplace. Vendor stalls lining the road. Their proprietors' voices calling out to passers-by to come sample their wares. This woman wanders through the throngs, strolling hand in hand with another woman. They peruse the vendor's goods, tarrying at a book merchant with a number of old and beautiful tomes, chatting with one another about what they see. One will pick up a book and show it to the other one, who will take it, comment on it, and place it back on its shelf. Then the first will snatch up the book again and quickly pay the merchant before the other one can snatch it back. They walk away from the market, weighed down by packs filled with books, still hand in hand, standing close, comfortable, and familiar with each other. As they pass down a somewhat deserted street, an object suddenly hits this woman in the chest and bounces off, rolling away towards one of the buildings. The women stop and look at the object, an apple, and then back up at the person who threw it. There is nothing special about him aside from the angry look on his face and the 2 other apples he holds. Before either woman can move, the man draws back and throws another one at them, this time hitting the second woman in the forehead. He yells at them something derisive and hateful, something about legacy and about responsibilities. The woman raises her hand to her head and wipes the juice and bits of fruit from her face and stares the man down defiantly. The first woman squeezes her hand and puts the other on her companion's shoulder, attempting to calm her down. The other woman pulls a book from her pack and holds it before her, muttering under her breath. She pulls her hand free and waves it above the book, an aura forming around her. The first woman is still trying to calm her down, but all she says goes unheard. The man, uncaring of the events happening in front of him, draws back and throws the last apple. As it arcs through the air towards them, the second woman brings up her hand and points at the apple. A glowing orb of energy flies from her hand and strikes the apple, causing it to explode, raining bits of apple down on the road and buildings around them. The man's face changes, anger joined by fear, looking like he's trying to decide if running or attacking is the better course of action. The second woman has started chanting again, her hand glowing, her eyes narrowing. This woman steps in front of her, placing herself between her love and their attacker. She touches her face, gently stroking it while whispering calming words. A kiss. The woman's countenance changes. She calms, her eyes softening, her lips regaining the lost smile. The first woman smiles again as well and kisses the other. Wizard scum! The man behind them says, and the two women turn to face him, staring him down defiantly. They join hands and begin walking again, moving past him without so much as a sideways glance. Oh, how romantic.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe these are the two?
Sure.
No, she was a thief, or was she, or was she just... I don't get it. So what else is there? Ingrid's house, we were there. Arthur's house. Let's go check that, and then possibly call it a day. I love this speed up function. Oh, what's here? Xlox the Usurper. There's something to loot here. Oh, sorry. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. You see a lone man standing in a field. He looks around, surveying the crops. Occasionally he bends to examine a leaf up close. He is intent on what he is doing, completely absorbed in his work. This man approaches him from behind. He moves slowly, but does nothing to mask his approach. In his hand he holds a large sword. There appears to be no malice or hatred in the man's demeanor. He almost seems pleased. The first man hears his approach and stands, turning away from the plant he was inspecting. His face breaks into a smile, and he opens his arms to welcome the approaching man. The smile freezes into a grimace as the second man thrusts the sword through his stomach, its blade now protruding from its back. His arms slowly fall to his side, and blood starts to drip from the sword onto the plants below the man. As the first man crumples to his knees, the second pulls the sword out, a tear slowly falling down the cheek of his still smiling face. Curious? You see a small group of people gathered around the ruins of a house. The destruction continues out from the single dwelling through the entire village. Not a single building still stands. Rubble is scattered everywhere. One of the men in the group leans over something in the debris. It is this man, younger, barely more than a boy. The man reaches out and shakes the boy by the shoulder. The boy makes no sound and doesn't respond to the man's disturbance. The man looks up at the other members of the group and shrugs, standing to rejoin his friends. The boy suddenly sits up, eyes wide. He scrabbles backward, away from the group, looking around in horror. The group moves toward him in unison, eliciting a yelp from the boy, who tries to move farther away. A woman in the group puts out her hands, stopping the rest. She turns to them reproachfully, motions for them to stay, then looks at the boy on the ground, who is trying to push himself through what remains of a wall. He seems unaware he has even stopped. The woman slowly moves towards the boy, hands out, speaking in a low, calming tone. For a time, the boy doesn't even hear. He just closes his eyes and braces himself against the wall, expecting violence. Eventually, the woman's words work through the fear, and he hears her. He opens his tear-filled eyes and stares at her. She holds out a hand to him. He looks at it, seeming confused by the offer, then hesitantly reaches out. She takes his hand in hers and leans down to help him stand. So he seems to have gone through a lot. Let's have a look in here. So what do we have? have? Something to steal.
Hey there.
Will we be able to steal this?
Easy does it.
Yeah, maybe yes. Kitty. Go away, kitty. Yeah, we are. Milk and sugar. Will we be able to snatch some of these? Yes, we are. Haha.
Hey there.
Orfra, a dear wooden woman, is standing in front of the fireplace, humming a quiet tune to herself, or perhaps to her unborn child, for she is clearly quite pregnant. She turns her head slightly as you enter.
Welcome.
Well, finally, I was starting to think the one makes a startled noise when she turns around and sees you. Oh, I'm sorry. I was expecting someone else. She gives you a cautious smile. Can I help you? Nice cat. Orfra smiles brightly. Oh, thank you. She's a sweetheart. Keeps the house clear of mice, too. I just arrived in Gilded Vale. I thought I'd get to know the locals. Were you with one of the caravans? She looks at you hopefully. Master Ademus, by chance? Oh, shite. That's Calisca's sister. Why do you ask? My sister Calisca is traveling with one of the caravans. She sent a letter before she came. Said she was going to pay her way by working as a guard for the caravan master. She always was a tough one. She pauses. I don't suppose you've seen her on the road? Or the caravan, perhaps? It's Master Ademus. Let's be frank with her. The caravan was attacked and we escaped, but Calisca was caught in a bivouac. Orfra covers her mouth with a hand, eyes widen with horror. For a few moments she can manage nothing but a strangled, voiceless gasping, her eyes brimming with tears. I knew. I told her it was a dangerous path to take. Calisca was always so certain she could take on any danger. Oh, my poor sister. I'm sorry, stranger. I can't believe she's gone. If only I hadn't called her here, if I hadn't written to her, she might still be alive somewhere. Orfra's face crumples and a solitary tear slides down her cheek. Calisca mentioned that she thought you needed help. Perhaps I can provide some assistance. Orfra looks you with some surprise before dabbing at her nose with a sleeve. That's kind of you to offer, but I don't know if I could impose this on you. It's not a small favor. Orfra wipes at her eyes. I'm worried about the baby, about the legacy. I told Calisca as much as I could, but all I know is that for a long time now, every child born in Gilded Vale has been soulless, empty. It's happened to so many mothers, and Lord Redrick, he's exiled all of them, calling it a sign of the gods' disfavor. With my head hot gone, well, I don't know how I'd manage if I lost my home too. I hope Calisca could help me. They say Ranga, the old midwife, knows a way to prevent a child being hollow-born, but she moved south to Anslog's Compass 2 seasons ago. The journey's too far for me. I can't make it as I am, but I don't have anyone else now, with Calisca gone. More tears run down her face. Please, can you help me? I feel I owe her somehow. I mean, it's the right thing to do. Let's do it. Oh. Orfra blinks eyes wide. You will? Oh, God bless you. Here, I give you a coin to pay her with. You needn't trouble yourself with that. I think it's a drink she fashions out of, well, I'm not sure. But it shouldn't be too much of a burden to carry back. Anslog's compass is what we call a lagoon to the south. You'll have to cross the wilds to get there. That's what keeps me from trying it myself. She clasps her hands together. Thank you again, truly. You'll be saving us both. She sets her hand on her stomach, smiling through her tears. Well. Yes, so, this is a good moment to just... I let that set in and call it a day. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!